Hello, welcome to the video guide game. That didn't work.
What? The gay?
The game,
What are you
the
talking
game
about?
video game guide.
Yeah, what the hell? Like the gay video game guide.
Why not? Why not?
You've been drinking?
Yeah, I've had one. Yeah.
Of course you have.
Hello, welcome to the video game guide podcast, episode 3, with me, Peter Cruikshank, and Ed Pulis. Say hello, Ed.
Hello there.
Today we're going to be talking about my top 5 video games. So,
All right.
how have you been? You okay?
Good. Yeah, I'm alright. I'm back in the UK for a bit. So yeah, I'm alright. I'm a bit tired. It's been a bit like I've been working, so I haven't really been chilling that much. So
You not been playing any games at all? Or?
not really. I haven't really. I don't. Not really. Nah. I got my PC here isn't that powerful. It's all right. It's not great. I haven't really been playing any games. Nah.
Are you missing your 4090?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Can't go back,
Well,
can you? Once
I'll tell you
got
what.
that.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it's just leagues of betterness. But I probably will. I don't know. Yeah, maybe I might. I've got a Steam one here, so I might have a look. I might sort of see what I can play. I've got Subnautica, so I could probably have a bash on. Yeah, you don't need a really powerful PC to play that, right? So
That's a great game. Yeah, I think I played that at work on a break, lunchtimes and after work.
yeah,
Just adding that in. that little
just in
caveat.
case you case play video game.
Yeah, and that was on a Nvidia 970. So
Yeah,
and it ran
yeah.
fine.
So I've
You know, it's
got
nice and smooth.
yeah, I've got like a. So what kind of card have I got? I think in my spare computer I've got a 1650.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is right. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
it's all right. It's
oh,
it's basically the equivalent of a 970,
that'll
but
do.
with a bit more. Yeah,
That'll do the job. Yeah. Cool.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
Subnautica's definitely up there. Yeah, I've
yeah,
uh,
uh,
I've been playing the new Zelda game.
how's it good?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like technically, it's incredible.
Yeah,
I'm just struggling with the enemies. The enemies seem to be a lot tougher than the last game, and
yeah.
just keep getting killed. I'm just
Oh
sick.
damn.
I'm just
Okay.
sick of getting my ass kicked. So I've been
Yeah, that's
going
fair.
on YouTube to sort of try and figure out how to improve the odds a bit. And
Yeah.
yeah, there's all these tips
Well,
and tricks.
I have like I should really play the. I've got my Switch with me, so I really should play like the. I literally have played 5 minutes of the Breath of the Wild, so I really should really play it. It's been
Yeah, it's
pretty
worth.
late.
It's really, really. It's an amazing game. Yeah,
It's an amazing game, but I hear it's like very open worldy. It's a bit too open worldy.
yeah. It kind of. This is the thing. It's all personal preference, isn't it? If you really, some people love open world. I do like open world to some degree, but then
Yeah.
it's that. I mean, everybody's different. It's a different opinion, isn't it? Like some people would say, "Oh, they're
Well,
taking it too far," and others say, "No, it's not far enough. It's it's still got
I
it's,
hear
it's
like
perfect."
yeah, I hear Elden Ring's really good. Like it's just the right amount of open world, I think.
Yeah, that's on my list to play. Yeah,
Yeah, it's supposed to be like really awesome, really really good.
and
Um,
I think the thing about the new Zelda game is you it's like you go on YouTube and
yeah,
it says, oh, you know, you need to do this and you can find this here and you can find that there, and to get the most out of the game you need to make sure you do this, make sure you know, you build stuff and you build it this way, and you know, otherwise you won't get the most out of the game. You won't enjoy it as much if
Yeah.
you find these things out later. And I'm
Right.
thinking, well, I shouldn't have to go on the internet to find these things out. The game should provide me with this knowledge, and in a way it does, but it doesn't to that extent.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I mean, like, I see what you're saying, but at the same time, historically, a lot of games have been like that. They've been like really obscure and really hard to beat.
Yeah,
And
some of this stuff's like really hidden. It's like you would never find that if you
yeah,
just played it. You just
and
have
if
to.
you look at,
You have to be really lucky.
well, that's the thing. If you look at throughout history, there's been a lot of games that have been unconquerable until the internet arrived.
Yeah.
So it's not. Yeah. So a lot of games have a history. You know, if you look out, you know, like a lot of games have like hidden Easter eggs or like, you know, I remember playing certain games. Like, this is how old this is going to show my age, but back in my day, we used to have these games called point and click. Was it point and click?
Yeah.
And the life of me, those games used to drive me up the friggin' wall, because you'd sit there like a monkey trying to click on empty on whatever, like, you know, art backdrop, trying to figure out what to do next and where this hidden thing is.
Yeah.
And yeah,
you
like,
try everything,
like
wouldn't you? And then sometimes it
Yeah.
was about you had to get something from another location and bring it to that location and then do something
Right.
specific. And it just
Yeah.
and sometimes you would think, I would never have thought that in a million years. So
Yeah,
I
exactly.
I got frustrated
obscure.
with those games, but other people
Yeah, so
loved it.
yeah, so obscure and so kind of like, you know, just just kind of like, you know, only the developer, you know, at the time the developer's like, oh, this is a really great idea, but there's no real thought from a user end point of view. It's like, yeah, okay, you get the story and you understand it, but like, if you were to actually present it to somebody that doesn't know any better, would they be able to solve the puzzle? So
Yeah, I guess like not long before those games, you were making games where there weren't very big games. You know, they came on a cassette or a cartridge, and there wasn't very much on that cassette or cartridge. Or the big floppy disks, you know, the big floppy disks for the computers.
Well, I remember,
and they had to make them difficult, didn't they? Otherwise, you'd finish.
Right. Because I know the Amiga, they used to ship with like 4 discs, floppy disks, you know, which is equivalent to like 4 megabytes of memory back in those days. Yeah. Whereas now, if you want, you know, you end up buying a game, it's like 100 gigs of experience. So it's very different times. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, one thing I do like about the Switch, well, there's many things I like about the Switch, but it's, if I want to play the game, I can just jump on and literally I'll just switch it on and it's already there. You know, you come out of sleep mode and it's just ready to play, and you just jump in and have a bit of a play.
So I tell you what I've been sort of like, what's driving me a bit mental is that I've been playing a bit of Gran Turismo on the PlayStation 4, and it's a buddy of mine gave me his first gen PlayStation 4, and honestly, like, you know, once you experience, like, you know, M.2 solid state drives, you cannot go back. You know, and I hear the PS5 is like that. It literally, like, you power it up, the game's ready, you're literally into the game. Whereas
I think it's, you know, it's like 20. So you can count to 20 in it from you know, selecting the game, and within 20 seconds, no matter what game it is, you are playing it, which is pretty quick. You know, that's going through all the. That's going through all the correct sequence, even faster sometimes. Yeah,
it's amazing. Which is insane. Whereas in, like, you know, back in the day, it was like, you know, you put a CD in or you put a disc in, you're sitting there waiting for like 5 minutes just for the game to sort of like load. So
yeah,
very, very different times. But we need to get back to your top 5 favorite games of all time. And I hope you spend a bit of time thinking about it, because I know, like, this is a very contentious subject for you.
It'll be contentious when I start, I'll tell you.
So do you want to tell us?
I struggled. I really struggled. Well, as I kind of said before, when you did yours, it's kind of top 20, but there's 5. There's top 5 that you talk about, and the other 15 are kind of just honourable mentions.
For sure.
And man, I struggled with this. I've been like going through this all week. Even before that, I was working on it, and it's kind of what you're leaving out. Kind of just almost almost upsets
It's
you.
hard.
The stuff that you're just
Yeah, well,
leaving out because
a
any
lot of the game.
yeah, go on.
No, well, like a lot of the games that you leave out are still worthy to be in that top 5.
Yeah, that's
right?
it.
Still game-changing games,
Yeah.
but it.
I almost feel like when I come off the podcast, I want to sort of say, "Oh, can I change it? Can we do that again?" Because yeah, but
they're very hard. They're very hard choices because they have to really profoundly. It's about like how profound those games are, or how profound those games were. And I don't know if you saw this thing that I sent you this morning, that weird Instagram thing, where there's people just literally singing the Street Fighter.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
But that was like, for me, that's a testament of how sort of powerful that game is, like just in terms of like how it resonates with so many people. But anyway.
I'm going to go through it chronologically. And,
okay.
As a bit of a sort of prologue, I'm going to sort of we don't really sort of talk to anybody who might be listening to this. But for you guys out there, I kind of started playing games in the late 70s, the really old arcades before Space Invaders, and played on a Pong clone at home and one of those really old computers in the UK, like the Spectrum and the Commodore 64 and the Amiga, and I played all those. And loads of those games are fantastic, but it wasn't till kind of the 90s where I kind of started getting blown away by certain things. It was kind of moving up to the next level. And the first game on my list that it's in my top 20 but not in my top 5 is Warcraft 2 Tides of Darkness on the Mac.
Oh, wow.
And I'd never played a game like this, and it was just, the attention to detail was just brilliant. And it was a Blizzard game, and Blizzard were really, they'd done the first Warcraft, they did the second Warcraft 2 RTS game, and they were just on point with that. So I played it to death. Sometimes I played it for 12 hours, 13 hours, to the point where I started feeling ill. And I had to go to bed. I'm just mentioning that one.
So what platform was the game on?
That was on an Apple Mac, because I didn't have a PC at that point. I still had a Mac.
So that was Warcraft 2 on Apple Mac, right?
Yeah, that's the first one. And then we come to one of my top 5, and it's Tomb Raider on the PlayStation.
Oof.
I played a demo of Tomb Raider 2 on my Mac again, and I was just in awe of this game. But I was playing on a keyboard.
That's okay. It's all right. Well, I mean, you're in a Mac, right?
I just thought this is not the way this game's meant to be played. And then later on that year, I got my PlayStation, I got my PlayStation probably 2 or 3 years after most people got theirs. Well, not most people, but it came out. I can't remember what year it came out, actually. Was it 94 the PlayStation came out?
95.
95.
Yeah.
So I probably got Tomb Raider in 97, I think. Yeah, that sounds about right. And Tomb Raider was a year old. And this game was just something else. Because I hadn't played many 3D games. I played like Doom and first-person shooters. And it was so cinematic. The start of it was there was a cinematic at the start, and then there's an introduction to Lara, and there's the bit where, when she opens the first tomb, and then the dogs come out and they attack that guy, and she just jumps down, shoot. I mean, I just thought, wow, this is so cool, so cinematic.
Yeah.
And I've been watching through it recently, and the music and the environmental sound just in the background when she's in the tombs is just so subtle and it's so effective. And the animations at the time on Lara herself are so smooth, and the way she rolls and jumps, it's just amazing. really is great. And these like 3D areas that you explore are just so vast. I mean, there was other 3D games. There was like Mario, and there was some other games, but this just seemed. I mean, I was in my 20s, so this was more for me. This kind of a game, and there's the 3D areas were just, I love exploration in games, so this really appealed to me, and it's a masterclass in level design when you go exploring around it. It's so well designed, and there's all these kind of set pieces. Have you played it? I mean, did you play the original?
Oh yeah, yeah. I played the original. Yeah, on PlayStation. Yeah, I mean, it was. I always remember that bit in the game where you take your first dive into what is pool water.
Yeah, the water
And it's
looks
just like,
great as well. It's got
yeah,
caustics. It's got these like
yeah,
caustic effects, so it looks like beautiful water when you're underwater. It looks great. And then you go over the waterfall, and then you eventually you encounter the T-Rex, which is like this kind of very well-known moment in gaming history. And there's all these, like I say, these great set pieces. There's you climb in this this tower. It's all inside. It's a huge tower, and you actually feel like a bit of vertigo because you look down, and you know that if you one little misstep, and and she falls, and sometimes she can fall so far she screams like 3 times before she like lands in this kind of clump,
yeah.
this mess.
No, as well. It literally is well done. Like, just in terms of yeah, just in terms of like three-dimensional exploration. It was one of the kind of early sort of yeah, it was like an early platformer, but in 3D. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you think about it, this is like pre Nintendo 64 and pre you know what I mean? It's not that many games that you can think of that you were actually doing that kind of
There was first-person games, but the third-person games there wasn't
yeah,
many
it's
of
not the
them,
same.
and they were kind of cutesy characters. And just when I was in my 20s, and I was in my 20s, I was going out drinking and having a good time, and I still wanted to play my games. And that this was kind of these games. These were like games had grown up as well. I'd grown up, and these games were grown up saying, we've grown up as well, and that's kind of what Tomb Raider was for me,
Yeah.
And Lara was cool. I mean, she broke into mainstream media, and she was officially cool as far as like the media were concerned. She was on the front of was it Face magazine or something, and
Probably.
she was on adverts and stuff, and it's like that never happened before.
They had a movie, right? Like with Angelina Jolie.
Oh yeah, that was years later, wasn't it? Yeah.
Anyone that wants to, watch Sexy Cloud Explorer. But yeah, it was a unique. I mean, like there wasn't any kind of game like it, really.
No.
If you think about it, not at the time.
No, there wasn't. No. And yeah, and I played most of the sequels, and I like the new games as well. I think the new games are pretty cool. So that's I'd say Tomb Raider is just one of those definitive moments in gaming for me where I just took notice. Yeah.
It was, yeah, I remember playing it, and it was, I think I finished it as well. Like it was like a phenomenal experience.
Well, like
really,
the last levels, you're in, I think you're in a pyramid or something. Oh, it's a pyramid, but it's to do with Atlantis, and all the walls are like made out of all this kind of pulsating muscle. It's all kind of gore, and these creatures break out of the eggs. I think they're like guardians of Atlantis, and they're like just muscle and blood, and and it kind of gets all kind of, there's some kind of horror elements in Tomb Raider, and even in the other games, there's some quite. I kind of like that. It's like sort of scary moments and kind of puts you on edge. And that it's not. I mean, it's not survival horror, but it is definitely some moments.
Very odd design choices, right? Just in terms of like the aesthetic.
Yeah, but yeah, I love it. Um, so yeah, so that's one of mine. And
Okay,
moving
cool.
moving on to another one of my top five, which is Final Fantasy VII. Again for the PlayStation, and I'm going to cheat a bit here as well because I'm going to put the 2020 remake in because
Oh, okay.
it's just amazing. Um, yeah, again, this is just another example of something I'd never experienced before. I mean, I can't think of a game that came before this that was as big or as epic. You know, I didn't know much about it when I bought it, apart from it was supposed to be some big deal. You know, and just the scale of it just blew my mind. It was just
How many
huge.
how many how many discs did it come on?
I think it was three or four. Um, it had these amazing cinematic cutscenes, which just at the time just looked incredible. They were like next level, and I just got really immersed in the story because you played it because it was such a big game. You just played it, and even though you could look at it now and it looks it looks really like blocky. Most of the
Yeah,
gameplay does look really blocky, but at the time you didn't care because you were just so wrapped up in all the characters and in the story, and especially a certain character's death is one of the most again, I think that the death in that game is one of the most significant moments in video games. um, and the combat was great. The combat was really cool. You got into it. It was pretty easy to learn, and and you leveled up, and you can summon these creatures, and as you get further into the game, the summons just become ridiculous. You're calling down like meteors to destroy your enemies and lifting them up out of the ground, and demons are coming out, and just it's just yeah, it was just brilliant. And
yeah.
and the music is amazing. The music's just it's just classic music. So it kind of hit all those graphically as well, cinematically, and in the combat the graphics looked great. The story was just amazing. I love story narrative in a game, and the combat was just, I mean, the combat was like the bread and butter of it in some ways, because there was
Yeah.
a lot of combat, and the combat was just great. um so yeah, I don't know whether to talk about the 2020 one now or later.
Yeah, maybe when I say like I would say like maybe yeah, mention like why did you decide the like why not the original?
um well, the thing is, once you play the new one, it's like it supersedes the original, and it's difficult because you're thinking, well, does it supersede it as far as your experience, or just because it's improved it in every way? Because it keeps everything that made the original brilliant, and it improves obviously things like graphics, and it's got a few more bells and whistles, and it follows all the same beats, but it's obviously not original, so the impact isn't hitting you the same as it did
Yeah.
before. But at the same time, it has a different kind of impact. So when I, got the original going, sorry, when I got the new one and started playing it, the opening music starts with just the sword, and you just sat there going, I was like getting all emotional, going, "This is amazing." The music, it just looks great. Even just before I started playing it, it just looks great. The music is incredible, and then there's an opening. The opening cinematic in the remake is possibly one of the best cinematic openings in a video game. If you watch it on YouTube, it looks so good, and
This is on PlayStation 5? No.
I think it's on 4. But obviously,
Okay.
it's on 5 as well.
Yeah.
It'd be slightly graphical sort of fidelity upgrade on it. But yeah, when it does that pullback on the camera, and the music builds, and it has this sort of Final Fantasy VII logo and everything. You just think, oh, and it just delivers on everything. Everything just is so amazing, and
Yeah.
the fluidity of the combat animations are so beautiful. And you can pause it when you're issuing commands, and it's just, you can see that there's nothing clunky in those animations. You can pause it any moment, and it's just smooth. Everything's balanced. Everything looks perfect. You know, all the bullets are flying in slow motion. All the special effects are like, it just there's no mistakes in it. There's no missteps in it. Everything's just perfect, and the leveling up system is just fantastic. You put materia on your weapons or on and you can then you upgrade that as well, and it's just great. You just can cater it for your fighting style, and yeah, I just love it so much. I just love it. I can't wait for the next one to come out. Yeah, it's gonna be great. So yeah, I kind of got to put Final Fantasy VII in there. I really have.
Yeah,
It's just because I remember when I played it, I was just obsessed by it. I could hear the music, like kind of you with Street Fighter. I could hear the music wherever I was, when I was at work or when I was out. I could hear it, hear the combat music like in my head, and I was just thinking, I can't wait to get back to play it and continue playing it.
I mean, part of the decision, part of deciding on these games is it's very personal, right? It's not just about like, okay, well, this game was the most iconic or the most sold in history. It's more about like how you feel and how it changed your thinking, maybe in a way, or your perception of what entertainment could be. And I think that's what's really important, and Final Fantasy was that kind of step towards maybe a bit more of an adult. It's like the potential of what you could play. Like having experienced like 1970s, 1980s, 1990s style gaming, and then all of a sudden you have this package of like kind of greatness.
Yeah, you're right, because I remember playing arcades in the 80s and playing Iden Amstrad CPC 464 and in the 80s, and to think to play something like Final Fantasy VII in 1997, something on that kind of scope, and
there's nothing like it, right? I mean, it wasn't. I mean, obviously there was a lot of FMV type of video games and video experiences, but nothing probably.
This wasn't from live action though, was it? It was the cinematics were all rendered.
Yeah.
And they were beautifully rendered. And I was like, obviously I love 3D, so I just really looked up to what they were achieving, because before that. Before my playing on the PlayStation, I was playing on the Mac, and then before that I was on an Amiga. So this was like a million miles away from
what
that.
What kind of Mac did you have?
I had one of those iMacs, the coloured ones where you could pick them up. I had a purple iMac.
Right.
Yeah, so I played.
Good to know you remember the colour.
Yeah, I like purple. Yeah. And then I had a Performer before that. I might have played Warcraft 2 on the Performer, which is even an older Mac. Yeah.
Right.
So I got a couple more top 20s, and that's Resident Evil 2 in 1998.
So that's the third. This is your third choice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, on PlayStation, and yeah, and cheekily, I mentioned the 2020 remake as well. Put that in there,
Yeah.
and also
Yeah.
in 1998. It was a good year for games. Metal Gear
It
Solid,
was.
Metal Gear Solid. Oh, that was
So,
amazing.
talk to us about because we covered a lot about Resident Evil already in the previous podcast. Tell us about Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, I'll quickly just mention that I'd seen it. It's strange because back in those days, these shops, you had like a music shop that had sold not DVDs, videos and magazines maybe, and then I went upstairs in this one shop in York where I lived. They sold games. Sold everything under one roof, and Metal Gear Solid was on the screen. They're showing this game, and I'm like, that looks really, really cool. Like a military kind of really sort of cool game. And so I'd kind of heard about it, and I bought it, and I was meeting a friend in the pub, and I kind of got there early and sat there, and I just literally sat there for like half an hour with my beer, looking through the manual and just getting excited because I was just looking through the manual thinking this, because obviously back then in those days you get like a little manual and
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
tells you all about the game, and you get all like you get all hyped up, so by the time you're playing it you're totally ready for it. You're so psyched for the game, and yeah, it really was yet again another totally new experience. Stealth, cinematic, completely. I mean, I've never played anything like Metal Gear Solid before, so yeah, I keep getting these first experiences. It's almost like being a child, and it's just so magical. So that's Metal Gear Solid, brilliant game. And moving on from that, again, 1998 again.
Yeah.
In my top five, you might laugh at this, but Tenchu Stealth Assassins on
Okay. Yeah. Well,
PlayStation.
I mean, I think you. I remember chatting to you a lot about this game, but tell us why. Yeah, it did it for you.
Yeah, this Tenchu has a special place in my heart. It's it's like Metal Gear. It's a stealth game. I think stealth was really sort of breaking into its stride in '98. I think Thief kind of came out maybe that same year, and I just played it to death. The I just couldn't. All it was, you're a ninja, and you've got a number of missions, and you got these areas, and you got to fulfill the mission, and you get a rating at the end of it from thug to grandmaster, and it's really hard to get the grandmaster. You've got to basically fulfill the mission without being seen, or to kill, without being killed, without anybody seeing you. And I just I just loved sneaking around and just killing people, and there was like copious amounts of blood everywhere, and it was just that sneaking up, taking somebody out, and then rolling back into the darkness, and it was just, it's kind of like that. I know it sounds a bit it sounds a bit strange, but like the perfect headshot in a game. It's kind of like that. You get that perfect headshot, and it's just like, yeah, that's cool. And this is the same. You can drop from above and just put a sword through somebody. You can turn them around and put a sword through the stomach. Yeah, it's just fantastic. And my aim was just to get Grandmaster on every single level, and it took me ages, but I was just quite happy just playing it to death. And the music, they have that the music is different from every level. The music, if you ever listen to the music for Tenchu, it's just fantastic. I think it was the best. Well, maybe next to Final Fantasy, it was the best soundtrack out there. It's just brilliant. Really, really, really brilliant game. I can't. It's hard to sort of really explain it to people, but there are other people who feel the same. Who just, yeah, I see them on, Facebook or wherever, and it's people mention Tenchu. So there's a sort of bit of a cult following, I think.
Again, it's probably a few games that it's I mentioned, which I'm not sure if you agreed with. I mentioned Mirror's Edge.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Honorable mention, and I feel like there are certain games out there that might not have been as popular, but they were the first ones to. They were the first ones to like. That was new ground, right?
Mirror's Edge was
the game. Yeah, and that maybe that's the thing with Tenchu. It's like, okay, maybe it's not like in the top, 10 games of all time, but it is one of those games where it is the first. It was the first of its sort of kind to sort of do something new.
Yeah, well, I think some stealth games before that were. They didn't. I think Tenchu kind of added that sense of height. So it wasn't you weren't just playing on like a level field, because you could use a grappling hook to gain some height. So you could run along the rooftops, and then you could monitor your enemies, and then you could wait till when they'd passed, or you could drop down on them and deliver the killing blow. So it was just, I think it kind of went that sort of bit further when it comes to stealth, and and the sequels are pretty good as well. The second one, and Wrath of Heaven, was the one that came out on Xbox and PS2, and I played those to death as well. So it's pretty much similar to the first game, but it was just a bit easier to play. And obviously improved graphics. So
yeah.
There's that one. So I'll move on to my final game in 1998.
Okay, I'm interested to know what this is going to be.
It's Half-Life on PC.
Oh wow!
Yeah, Half-Life nearly went into my top 5. It was so close. I could quite easily put it in there. By that time, I ditched my Mac, got a PC, and a certain somebody, that would be you, said, "You've got to play this game called Half-Life." I was like, oh, okay. I played Soldier of Fortune. I think that was the first person game I played on my PC. Yep. And I was like, and I thought, this is great. Soldier of Fortune is cool. And you said, forget Soldier of Fortune, try Half-Life. I said, okay, I'll try Half-Life. And yeah, it was obviously, the rest is history. Half-Life is an incredible game.
Yeah, it is. Pretty fantastic.
It's all been said before, really. The opening, the narrative, and the just the great story, and the it's so fluid. The action's so fluid. It's just brilliant. Really is brilliant. I think a lot of games, some first-person shooters before that, would just kill everything. Half-Life had a real narrative to it, and I love the way it built up. It built up and up and up. And there was loads of characters that you interacted with in the facility, and there was a kind of dark humour about it as well. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great game. I mean, like, literally, it's one of those weird games in a way, because it just got better and better, and even with the sequel and the episodes, and apparently the new game is supposed to be amazing, but the caveat is you need a VR headset to play it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Half-Life 2's great as well. That nearly made my list, but and obviously it's superior in many ways, but
Yeah,
you can't beat that first experience playing Half-Life.
yeah, sure.
Again, it's just that impact it has on you, and
Yeah,
you just get immersed in it. You just get completely immersed in it, and I really champion the re the remake of it on PC, the Black Mesa, is it called?
yeah.
I played that. It's fantastic. It's just like playing Half-Life again. It really brings back. If you loved Half-Life, just buy it, play it, because it just brings it all back. Yeah. So that's definitely worth a play as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great game. It's really, we talked about Doom in my list, but I feel like Doom, in a way, is fairly rudimentary when you compare it to a game like that. It's not just mindless fun. It's more like you have to be involved in. Well, you have to be, there's a story, right? And it was a fairly kind of intricate story about a scientist where things go wrong, and yeah, it's just a great game.
Yeah, the pacing's great in it, and
Yeah, it's all about the pacing, really.
yeah, and I think a lot of games followed suit as well. They started bringing more narrative into their games as well, rather than just being twitch shooters.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a great game. There's no question, and yeah,
Right. So
yeah,
we're going to move on 10 years now.
okay.
2008. This is a game that I love, but yeah, again, it's going to be another kind of might confuse a few people. Valkyria Chronicles on the PS3.
But these are runner-up games, right?
No, this is in my top 5 of all time.
Hold on. Wait. So like, you mentioned Warcraft 2, right?
Yeah,
You mentioned Tomb Raider.
yeah.
You mentioned Resident Evil 2. You just had Half-Life,
Yeah.
and this is your last game, right? This is the last. This is
No,
top
no,
top.
no, no, no. This like it's top 5, but you have another 15 runners up. So
Yeah, exactly that.
So Warcraft 2 is a runner up. Tomb Raider's in my top 5. Final Fantasy's top 5. Resident Evil.
Oh, right. I want to know. What your top 5 is. You're like going through chronologically.
Yeah,
Are you going
yeah.
through chronologically?
Chronologically, yeah. That's what I said at the start.
And you're including the top 15 as well.
Yeah. As I go along.
But we need to know your 5 though, because we're going to run out of time here.
Okay. Don't worry about it. Yeah, okay. I'll do my 5 and then I'll quickly mention the other ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
So I've done 3. Yeah,
okay,
so
awesome.
Tomb Raider, Final Fantasy 7, and the remake, and Tenchu. And my third one is Valkyria Chronicles on the PS3.
So that is the top. That's in the top 5. Right?
That's my 4th one. Yeah, 4 or 5.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. Tell us a bit about the game.
Okay, so this is a Sega game, good old Sega, and I first played this as a demo, and I didn't get it at all. I didn't know what was going on. 1 minute you're looking from above and you've got all the units, and then it drops down to third person, and I didn't understand what was going on. So I just thought, this is rubbish. So I dropped it, which is weird because now I'm talking about it as one of my favourite games of all time. And I don't know how I tried it again. I think maybe word got out on it must have been the internet. Some reason I decided to give it another go, and I bought it. And it just clicked. I just got it. I understood how to play it, and yeah, it was just amazing. I mean, I love like anime, and I love the look of it. and it's kind of set in an alternate Second World War, and there's this huge army from the east, and they're invading the west of what would be Europe on this map, and they're trying to, everything's about this thing, this resource called Ragnarite, I think it's called, and there's a lot of this in this country where it's set, and you join the army, and there's some great characters in it. You're one of the main characters, and you control different soldiers, and the story is incredible. The story is absolutely amazing. It's so powerful. All the characters are so well rounded out, and it deals with things like the horror of war and racism and stuff, because there's the Darksons, which are basically just characters with dark hair, and they're segregated, and yeah, there's a lot of racism against them in the story, and the gameplay's, like I said before, you kind of control your forces. There's two parts to it. You select them, so you select like say a scout or a lancer or whoever from above, and then it jumps down to third person. Then you have like AP, and so as soon as you start moving, the AP starts going down, and you've just got to be really strategic. But once you get the hang of it, it's just brilliant. There's no other game quite like it, and just trying to think what else is so. I mean, the music's great, and yeah, again, there's like there's another death in the game, and this game made me cry. That's how sad the game was. You still there?
I'm still here.
Yeah.
I'm still here. Keep going. I'm listening. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah. Really. One of the most innocent, sweet characters in the game dies, and it's the way it's done is very, very well done.
So again, it's like the story and
It's
the kind of like
so hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard hitting, and then when you play, you carry on the game, and at the end of the game, the two main characters, they have like it's years after the war and everything, and they've rebuilt, and they've got married and everything, and they've got a bakery, and it's like, oh, it's really nice, and the girl who gets killed in it is called Isara, and then you hear this little voice, and they're like, oh, come on, Isara, and this little girl, and they've called their little girl Isara, and when that happened, I just started crying, and I was like, this, and that's what the game did to me. The game just broke me, because the story was so powerful. It was so good.
Yeah, so there's a real emotional impact. Yeah,
and that's just the story. The combat's just brilliant, and the characters are so good, and it's kind of, well, it's a mixture. It's like a hybrid of turn-based and real-time, kind of switches between the two, and but there's so many mechanics to it, because you can start upgrading your weapons, like your sniper rifle, because you have like scouts, you have snipers, then you have the people with machine guns, then you have the lancers who like rocket launchers, and then you have tanks as well, and you can upgrade them. You can upgrade different parts of your tank and everything, and then also the people in it, like your soldiers, you start getting really attached to them, because you start to get your favourites, your favourite sniper. She doesn't let you down. I had my favourite sniper. She was brilliant. And then certain ones, when you look into them, it says works well. They work well with other characters, so you keep them together. When they work as a team, they're more likely to hit the enemy and stuff.
Yeah.
And some of them don't work well because they have hay fever, so they're not good in fields. And some of them grew up in deserts, or some of them grew up in the north, so they're really good in those environments. So you pick your team depending on their strengths and weaknesses, but it's just all there, just in their bio. So you just got to look into it and find out. And so if you're really smart and you play it really, if you play smart, you're rewarded. If you just go in there and just dumbly play it and just throw everybody in there and just start thinking, oh, I can just, bulldoze my way through these enemies, you'll just get annihilated. So I love a game that rewards intelligent gameplay. And it's all there. It's all laid out for you. You just have to sort of learn how to play it. And you put certain characters together and you play it in a certain way, and it just rewards you. And it's such a rewarding game to play. It rewards ingenuity. So yeah, I couldn't get enough of it. And the cutscenes are amazing.
Awesome.
The cutscenes are fantastic. And I was really glad to see that they did a remastered version and released it on PC a few years ago.
Yeah.
So
sounds like you're really into like story, and that's a big deal for you, right? In terms of like.
Oh yeah. Well, you know how much I like to read. I love reading books, and I love, plot and character, and just if you can surprise the audience or get an emotional reaction. So for you to be able to achieve that in a video game is it doesn't happen that often. So very powerful, and not just an excellent gameplay, because gameplay is always king, always, and it has excellent gameplay. So and it's one of those games where I always think about it. I bought a big book with all the characters in it and all the tanks and all the weapons. It was just full of all their schematics and everything, because I just couldn't get enough of it. Right, my last game is
go for it.
Dragon Age Origins.
Dragon Age. That's an EA game.
Yeah.
Is it
BioWare?
Yeah.
It's BioWare.
Is it BioWare?
Yeah, it's BioWare developers. Doesn't matter who publishes it. It's the developers, and they did the Dragon Age Origins is brilliant. It is a great game. I've got other friends who love this game. The lore is amazing. The character creation at the start is just fantastic. I was a female elf mage, and you just get all these amazing spells and abilities. And by the end of the game, you must have like 30, 40 spells. But because you build up slowly, you become like a master at using them. And during combat, you can just pause it anytime you want and issue commands to your party. And it just looks great. It's just the way you can control the gameplay is fantastic. And you can also romance different characters. So I romanced Liliana. Dear Liliana.
That's like a kind of gay, like, relationship that you had.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Awesome.
All
right.
And you can take screenshots as well. So you do this, there's loads of blood and everything. So it's like you're fighting all these different creatures, and there's just blood, there's swords and magic and everything. There's blood flying and heads coming, and it's just like you can take these amazing screenshots. And yeah, it's just a really good game. It's genuinely scary sometimes as well. And it's just one of the best. It's one of the best RPGs of all time.
Oh wow, jeez.
Easily, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got a big following as well. So there's a lot of people out there who love Dragon Age, and a lot of people would probably say Origins is the best one.
Yeah.
And I would join them. So there you go.
So Dragon Origin, right?
Yeah. So
awesome.
I quickly mention the other ones.
Yeah, go for it.
I'll fly through them. So Fallout 3 in 2008. I love that.
Yeah, okay. Good little game.
Minecraft, which I think is one of the greatest, most significant games ever made.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
StarCraft 2, which is 3 of those games, but the middle one, Heart of the Swarm, has probably got one of the best stories of all time. It's an amazing game. You're going to laugh at this one. South Park, The Stick of Truth.
Bloody hell.
Love that game. It is so funny. And the gameplay is solid. It has solid RPG gameplay.
What platform? PC?
I played it on PS4.
Oh, PS4.
It just works. Yeah. It just works. It's solid. It's a solid game. And it is hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt. Amazing game. Great RPG. Great gameplay. Love the just the atmosphere in it. Just the wind blowing the trees, and it's just got this amazing environmental feel to it. Subnautica is up there.
We mentioned that earlier.
On PC. 7 Days to Die. Oh, I love that. Playing that game with my friend. We had such a blast playing that. XCOM 2, War of the Chosen. Yep. I love you know I like turn-based, and XCOM 2 is pretty much the king. And Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. How you put that in there?
The only Nintendo game in there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry everyone. I'm sorry it's the only Nintendo game, but
all right.
I'm not massive on Nintendo. I do like the games.
No, you're a Nintendo here, so it's all right.
But yeah, I love Breath of the Wild. Fantastic.
Awesome.
2 more left. Outer Wilds. I would recommend Outer Wilds to anyone on PC.
I think you mentioned. Yeah.
The imagination in that game hasn't been matched. It's hugely original. You have to play it. You just have to play it. It's such an original game.
That's on PC, right?
Yeah. Brilliant. And finally, another turn-based. Sorry, Ed. I know you're not a big fan of turn-based. Is Wasteland 3 on the PC.
Okay.
It's probably one of the best turn-based games out there next to XCOM. So I just had such fun with that game, especially using the Animal Whisperer ability. So there was me and my party of, say, 6 people and an army of cats. Which cats, surprisingly, in that game can take quite a few hits before they die. So
interesting mechanic.
So they're, very useful. So, yeah, pussy power.
Cool. Pussy power. What you need, what we all need.
So there you go.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting collection of games.
List.
Very, very varied. Yeah, I like it. It's good.
Thank you. Yeah, it's you can certainly see where I got hit big time. It was where I got my PlayStation mainly.
Yeah,
and then there's been a few later on. But
it's a hard. Like that list is difficult because, everyone is different, and I don't really believe in like the greatest games of all time. I just kind of feel like it is very much a bespoke thing, and I feel like not everyone agrees on certain choices. So and again, it's like every generation of person has different experiences. So we're obviously, we lived through the PlayStation era, so obviously that was a fairly monumental sort of time.
Yeah, games changed a lot then, didn't they?
Yeah, and then on top of that, people take breaks, right? So like, a lot of the games that you mentioned, I just didn't play because I was just on a break. And there probably were games that you didn't play, which I played, purely because I may have transitioned to other machines that you didn't. So it's very much like like I said, I'm not a big fan of like oh, this is the greatest game of all time, and there's no argument. Like I just don't believe in that
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, I've seen things like Dark Souls being the greatest game of all time. Mm, I didn't really
Uh,
like it at all. I thought it was okay, but
yeah, it's a good game. I wouldn't say like I don't think. I mean, my personal experience is not something that you know. It's not something that's memorable. It hasn't been memorable for me personally, and I don't think I'd ever like. I played it like the first 20 minutes of it, and I thought, okay, this is cool, but it's not something that if it was that good a game, it would have kept me playing. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
but again,
it's hard.
everyone's different.
I'm almost glad I got it off my chest now.
Good, see, yeah, it's good. I mean, like, look, at the end of the day, these lists are not in stone, so you can always come back to them and change. Like for me, like you mentioned Tomb Raider, and then you mentioned Half-Life, and those were part of my runner-up games,
Yeah,
and Metal Gear as well. And I feel like at some
yeah,
point I might my top five, right? Because yeah, it's so hard. It's so hard, really, to have those kind of games because there's so many games out there that I've had great experiences with, right? Like I always remember playing Streets of Rage 2, or like we had fond memories of playing Speedball or Monkey Island on the Amiga, or to have like a neighbor come over and play Sensible Soccer. So like it very much, it's or at school on the BBC computers we used to like. I'm sure there's an RPG that was text based.
yeah,
The early of an RPG really. So everyone's got their own kind of experiences, right? Like and styles as well, right? So I was never really a fan of turn based games, but
yeah, yeah,
I definitely see Civilization's got a massive following.
yeah.
I think I played a bit of XCOM, and I actually thought it was pretty good. All things considered.
Yeah, I think
But
that's
yeah,
like I'm not really into driving games, but you've got a real
yeah,
passion for driving games, haven't you?
totally, yeah, totally. And it's very much it's very much a taste thing, right? So, but it's good. I'm glad you did it. You got it off your chest. That was good. At least it's a bit cathartic.
We can move on now.
You can move on with your life. So
Yeah.
yeah, so awesome.
Cool.
Well, you want to call it the episode?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Well, yeah. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah.
And
Thanks, everyone.
yeah, give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you want. And
You want to hear
yeah,
more of our rambling about the
yeah.
about video game? How we
Well,
feel?
yeah, we're going to move on from our favourite games, and we're going to start talking about all sorts, aren't we? Really,
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Maybe
Yeah, it's a good.
controversial stuff as well as like how we feel as maybe like veteran gamers.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like I said, I've been gaming since late '70s, so early '80s. That's a long time.
A long time, for
Yeah,
sure.
too long. I'll still love it. I'll always love it. I'll be playing when I'm 90 if I get to that.
I mean, honestly, I feel like games are the great equalizers. They just kind of doesn't matter how old you are, really. In a way, people, will always enjoy, whether it's a video game or if it's a physical game. People love challenges and puzzles, right? So it's what keeps us going. So
Yeah, definitely.
important part of culture.
Cool. Right.
Right,
Well, see you later, Ed, and I'll see everyone else later. So,
right. See you later, Pete.
yeah, take it easy. Bye.
All right. Yeah.